Welcome back, everyone, to the Governance and Transparency Committee meeting. All councillors are in attendance. I'll commence our meeting with the acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people. Do any members of the committee this afternoon have a declaration of interest to make? There being no declarations of interest or business outstanding, I'll see if there's any questions regarding the confirmation of minutes. No questions. I'll seek a mover from the floor. Moved by Councillor Doyle, seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion on those minutes? There being no discussion, I'll put them to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 2 today is the quarterly report to the Department of State Development, Infrastructure, Local Government and Planning. Are there any questions this afternoon? Being no questions, I'll seek a mover for the one recommendation. Moved by Councillor Kunzelman and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion on that item today? There being no discussion, we'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 3 today is the proposed acquisition of land for Spencer, Fitzroy and Maitland Streets, Church Hill. It is a 4-part recommendation. Are there any questions this afternoon on that? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A through D. Moved by Councillor Milligan, seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion from the committee? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 4 today is pretty detailed. It's a recommendation to update 7 property services policies. Are there any questions this morning on this? It's morning somewhere. Mayor Harding?
Actually, not a question, in discussion, sorry.
Okay, in discussion. On that note, there's just the one recommendation as per the screen and the agenda. I'll seek a mover. Moved by Councillor Kunzelman, seconded by Councillor Milligan. The floor's yours for discussion, Mayor Harding.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, these are updates to 4 policies, 7 policies. 6 of them, I think, are pretty just updating structural changes and a few things. The one on the dividing fence policy, I wasn't sure if councillors wish to have a discussion on, but I guess, if they wish to have a discussion with council officers between now and the ordinary, that's something that they can always do because there are sort of a few changes in there.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion from the committee? There being no further discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 5 today is the procurement matter. The contract for admin building audiovisual meeting rooms. Just clarifying, it's also for audiovisual outside of the building. 2-part recommendation. Any questions? Being no questions, I'll seek a mover for A and B together. Moved by Mayor Harding and seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion on that matter? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 6 today is a procurement matter. It's for LG Hub cloud-based board solution renewal. It's a 2-part recommendation. Are there any questions on that this morning? Nobody say anything, okay? I'll get there. I'll seek a mover for recommendation A and B. Moved by Mayor Harding and seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any discussion on that? There being no discussion, we'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. Item 7 today is another procurement matter, 12D model software and 12D synergy license, maintenance and support renewals. It is a 4-part recommendation. Are there any questions on this item? There being no questions, I'll seek a move for A through D. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kunzelman, seconded by Councillor Milligan. Any discussion this morning? It's bad. I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour, that's unanimous and carried. Item 8 today is procurement for preventative maintenance of Nicholas Street Precinct parking access system. It's a 2-part recommendation. Are there any questions? There be no questions. I'll seek a mover for recommendation A and B. Moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Mayor Harding. Any discussion on that this afternoon? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. Item 9 today is a procurement matter, variation to contract 20827, HVAC maintenance services, scheduled and unscheduled. It is a 3-part recommendation. Are there any questions on this item? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A through C. Moved by Councillor Milligan, seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion on that item? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 10 today is a procurement matter, work sites, traffic management platform. It's a 2-part recommendation. Are there any questions? There being no questions, I'll seek a mover for recommendation A and B. It's moved by Councillor Doyle and seconded by Mayor Harding. Any discussion on that? There being no discussion, I'll proceed to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Item 11 today is a procurement matter for the intersection upgrade of Mary and William Street, Blackstone. Is there any questions of the officers on this item today? There being no questions, seek a mover from the floor for items A through D. Moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Is there any discussion? Mayor.
If I may, I just want to acknowledge, Chair, you and Council Island's advocacy from the very first budget in getting this up. We've obviously we've shuffled around before, but I know that the two of you will be quite delighted that this is happening. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Certainly. I think a lot of the residents at Blackstone who get caught in this, as well as commuters through Blackstone to the back of Bundamba and Silkstone, also get caught in this section. So yeah, I'm personally wrapped that it'll finally be done. Councillor Doyle?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to acknowledge your advocacy on this particular issue, and we regularly receive via Division 3 follow-up and inquiry around this particular intersection. As you pointed out, some of our residents from Bundamba frequent that area. So, and of course you and I were working the mobile office at the show, and we had a very frank discussion with residents about it there. They're very passionate about it, and we understand why. So looking forward to this progressing.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any further discussion this morning? There being no further discussion, I'll put recommendation A through D to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. That is our last item for today. I've got no notices of motion or matters arising. What was the preference for the intervals between meetings now that we're back to normal? All right, I'm happy for 10 minutes. So I'll declare the meeting closed at 2:55 with the next meeting to start at 3:05. Thank you.